My name is Chief Dr. Sir Bob Manuel Udoku Zana Wakili Ogidi. Keep listening to Street Report with Martin on Ebon Radio 103.5 FM Ogidi.
Yes, Igbo si na eziokwu na agba agba na ntị mana anyị ga-ekwu ya bụ eziokwu today. It's time for the truth. It is time to play the role of ombudsmanship on radio. It is time when we, cause social change in our society in the areas where it is needed. So, good evening and welcome to this wonderful, awesome, fabulous, excellent, marvelous knowledge and spirit-filled edition of Street Report on Ebonade 103.5 FM. I am Martin Ifan Shuku AKZ Ezanumba the Force, the one that I call Metal. We're in the building. Yes, it is that moment of truth on radio. All the African leaders that led the fight against the British colonial masters, even that of the French, all of them, they have one thing in common. And what is that? The fact that at the time, their people will turn against them. That's one thing they have in common. Like if you look at Kwame Nkrumah, at the time it happened. If you look at Robert Mugabe, yes, though took a long while before it happened, but if you look at what is happening in Zimbabwe right now, the current president of Zimbabwe, who is Mangawa, was once working with him or for him, when he was the president of Zimbabwe. So I mean what I say when the people turn against their leader. Yes, even leaders who, emerged as leaders of Pan-African or Afro movements, to emancipate the black man, they were also, treated in this same manner. If we begin to look at the life of somebody like Marcus Garvey, the way he wanted to emancipate black people. And one of the things he saw was the fact that he kept talking about Nigeria, that this nation, this great nation, is supposed to be the nation where the black man will be emancipated economically, psychologically, every way, But later, the people he spoke for, came after him. Some of the people were against Marcus Garvey. He was deported from America back to Jamaica. And while he was walking the streets of Jamaica, little kids were throwing stones at him. At the time, he looks as if, that's what black leaders will always see, a situation whereby after the good they must have done over time, they will be paid back with evil, In the same manner, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe of blessed memory, also faced the same kind of consequence or the same kind of treatment in some kind of way. And you will remember that late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, was, his movement came out from the Pan-African movement, the, unification of black people all over the world. His movement began to emancipate from that ideology of we as Africans, as one people, and that's why if you look at his own way, the first political party, NCNC, that he, established, there was Cameroon, Ghana, a lot of people, just to show you that it is always about Africa, not just about Nigerians or Igbos or Yorubas or even Hausas. Late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was a man and still is like in the heart of Africans. There is a great respect for him outside the shores of Nigeria. You know, if you go to places like Mozambique, all of those, you know, all of them are interested in his personality and what he did for the black people. You know, the way he fought the colonial masters to make sure that he secured independence and all of that. Yes, it is Street Report on Ebona, the 103.5 FM, and on this edition, we are going to look into the personality of late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, what his leadership meant. You know, what are we supposed to learn from this personality? That and more will be the cause of our conversation this evening. So stick around with me. Let's go for this short break. When we come back, we'll continue on this issue about late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe.
My name is Chief Dr. Sir Bob Manuel Budoku Zana Waklino Gidin. Keep listening to Street Report with Martin on Ebonade 103.5 FM Ogidi.
Data in the
Ebonade 103.5 FM. Nabapoa production. Police for vigilante. My business. When I will tell you, AJ radio drama. There we go. AJ radio drama, Eriko, Ghana Dialogue every Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. with a repeat broadcast on Saturday, 3 o'clock p.m. Now, Ebonade 103.5 FM.
if you move and finish your business, yeah.
A lot of people complain about not using their talents the way they want to. Utilize this opportunity today. Are you an aspiring actor, musician, dancer? Here is the opportunity you have been waiting for. Register with Bravo Production at Ebonade 103.5 FM today to make your God-given gift, money-making venture, given gift today. For more information, call 080-3916-7049. Don't miss out on this opportunity.
Ọ na-abụ mbata Anambra steeti na-achọ ebe ife na-eme ọ dịka enwe ife na-akọ m wee sị mba na ife ihe eme bụ dis Krismas m ga-aleta ya m wee kpọọ ezigbote enyi m nwoke wee jụbịa kedu ebe ife na-eme na Anambra steeti ọ wee sị m ka na m anụbeghị maka Residency Hotel n'Ofin Ogidi m wee sị enyi m nwoke ọ gịnị na-eme na Residency Hotel n'Ofin Ogidi ọ sị m chelụ sị m na ife ọ na-achọ ịpịọ m na-abụ ole sị m na enwe executive rooms and suites n'Ogidi na Residency ya Some come ejego na their restaurant ka atatigo na chef fa develop there na aka drop your money van esi no kwa nlisie mto we se jam na mbia na their outdoor arena ebe na eme ma wedding, traditional marriage, dedication, naming ceremony, shows and displays. Some na banwe swimming pool no kwa nwe for ka weather shide ntu yo ni mmiri loza na enwe fene we ta ka se na ebe adiko aga ma no na residency hotels the ofino ibi na this Christmas ka nwa ngole tola ato ezi enyi ngwalo nwanne na residency hotel the ofino gidi the well secured in a serene environment. Ọ dị na kilometer 13 Old Enugu Onitsha Expressway. Solukwamo maka anu meje de enwe phone number onye m ga-eji book ya na 081 40 933 512. Ana m akpọfa just now ka m book.
My name is Chief Dr. Sir Bob Manuel Udoku Zana Baklino Giddy. Keep listening to Street Report with Martin on Ebon Radio 103.5 FM Ogidi.
Yes, that's right. You are welcome back to Street Report on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. And I remain Martin Ipan Chukwueke as our number the first. The one they might call Metal. On this edition, we are looking into the personality of late Dr. Nnamdi and for Africa in general. So, in looking into the personality of late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, we will consider one thing, that his fate was also the fate of most of the people who led the movement against the colonial masters to, actualize independence. And the way he did he started with, newspapers. He developed newspapers, and this newspaper was the vehicle by which he criticized the activities of the colonial masters. And, those newspapers were, his means of also trying to cause social change the way we used to, like the way we try to do it here on Street Report on Ebona, the 103.5 FM, get to talk about the challenges of, the black person. And that's what he did then. And in the process, in doing it, he began to advance, even with the challenges he encountered back in the days. But he kept on, at the time he was, driven away from the country. He had to go over to other countries. And from there, he kept writing his newspapers. His publication kept going into circulation to show you that the freedom or the, actualization of the, independence was done with the media. And today, if we must succeed as a nation, as a people, the media must be recognized. But when it comes to, late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, his case is that of a situation whereby outside Nigeria, he's celebrated, while all over Africa, he is celebrated. But in Nigeria, people don't pay too much attention to the caliber of person we are talking about. And one of the things that, brought this about is the issue of, people accusing him of some things that were just fallacies, because in the publications Chinua Achebe did in, like, maybe there was a country, Chinua Achebe discussed Nnamdi Azikiwe as a personality, his contributions to Nigeria as a society, and even his decision to support his people when the war broke out at a time. But one thing Chinua Achebe acknowledged is the fact that he had to, do what he needed to do to save the life of his people because he got tired of what was going on and he had to make a move. Now, before he started his journey, one of the things, the education that he got was the fact, the way, black men unified themselves all over the world, and looked out for each other. That Afro movement, that's exactly what, led to his own. And yes, when he began his own, he made sure he, accommodated everybody. While he was in power, the Zikis movement was there. Mbazurika Meshi, testified to the fact that when Mandela was having his apartheid issue in South Africa, Nnamdi Azikiwe granted him asylum in Nigeria and, handed him over to, the boy is good, Amechi, and then he took him to Ubo, his hometown, took care of him and all of that. But that invitation, trying to secure his, person, will show you that it's been a while since Nigeria have been playing that role of, big brother of Africa, and that thing came from his initiative, the fact that he believes that we as one people, we must come together as one people to address our challenges together as Nigerians, as Africans. Now, let's Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who is also a partaker of the rejection that African leaders, who led the emancipation from colonial masters, face. For me, the legacy of Nnamdi Azikiwe is embedded in journalism, is embedded in, Pan-Africanism. It is embedded in the fact that he believes that as Africans, we have to look out for each other. It is also embedded, in, trying to use diplomacy to actualize anything you want to do. While he was fighting the colonial masters, he was not going into physical battle. It was intellectual fight. And that's what thing we must learn as people, that we must not drop from that standard. The way he operated, that's the way we are supposed to operate. At the same time, his legacy shows that you can use the media to actualize any good thing. You can use the media to bring about change. And that was the drastic way he did it. Now, when some people will make some kind of statement in politics or political statements like that one does not have structure, what does it mean? What does it mean? It took structure for the late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe to actualize that dream of, trying to emancipate our people from the colonial masters. But at the same time, he was not the only one that did it. He took structures of even somebody like Abat Macaulay, who now later started his own publication as well, and all of that. So when we talk about structure, the media is in it. Institutions, that's what we are talking about when it comes to structure. So my question to Igbo people today is, where is the structure Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe left for Igbo people? That's the thing. At the same time, he did not only leave it for Igbo people, he also left it for Nigerians. That's the thing. But in that, if you look properly today, when we talk about structure, the media, institutions, it is in the West. Because his counterpart or his, contemporary, when we talk about somebody like Awolowo, understood the need for the media. And that's why from day one, he set up things in the West that must do with the media. You know, so when we talk about structure, do we have it? Now you will now understand why the how you know deep the heartbreak was for him to go through all his struggles and the fight for emancipation of Africans, and now begin to see the division that divided us to this level till today, and then he began to see a lot of things come out of the entire thing. You know how much heartbreaking it is for him, for his people to not place him on the pedestal where he's supposed to be. It comes to the kind of respect that we are supposed to accord him for his struggles, for everything he did for humanity, most especially for the black race. Yes, this and more will be the cause of our discussion on this particular edition of Straight Report on Ebon at the 103.5 FM. Today we are going to talk about late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the leader of Africa, and how he fell, like how we fell off from his, track of leadership. Stay tuned to Ebon at the 103.5 FM as Straight Report continues to unfold. I remain Martin. If I am Shuku Ekezie, as our number the first. This one is coming from Luciano, and he calls it Johnny. Enjoy it, and I'll be back.
Though the journey seems so long, we know this battle must be won. And though sometimes they treat us wrong, by faith we know we'll be strong. Oh, when the saints go marching, brother than my sister, please be there. Yeah. Go through the road with God up with you. And I know the time is near. Just gone to prepare a place wherever he is, that we will be. Once we live our lives for him, then I know we'll let us sing. So the journey seems so long. We know this battle must be won. And though they treated us so wrong, by faith we know we'll be strong. On the troubles of the way, and time will be no more. There'll be no problems in the life. Cause I know that will make things right. Yeah. And if the blind can see, oh, and we should find the salvation free. And if the dead will heal, then he will find truth in the truth. Though the journey seems so long, we know this battle must be won. And though they treated us so wrong, we Brothers and sisters, we be there. Oh, yeah. It's soon the road we're called. And those who are worthy will hear. It's about that day.
Sit up, baby. Yes, in Nigeria, maybe because of ethnicity, we, hate to keep proper record of history. But the best of Africa, the rest of Africa kept proper record of the activities of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. You're welcome back to Street Report on Ebonade, 103.5 FM. I remain Martin Ifan Shuku AKZS number the first, the one that I call Meta. Now, personally, for me, I think the reason why Igbo people is yet to find, their pathway or footing in Nigeria is because the Igbo man abandoned the leadership of the great Zik of Africa. That's how I feel. At the same time, I also believe that why, Nigeria still struggles economically, every aspect where we struggle, even in security and all of that, is because Nigeria abandoned the leadership of Zik of Africa, which is oneness of the people, we together. It is not about being an Igbo person. It is not about being a Yoruba person. It's not even about being an Hausa person. It's about being a Nigerian who is seeking for the best, because that's what he was seeking for his people by asking for, the departure of the colonial masters. And he got what he deserved, what he asked for, with, every other person, not just him. He's not the only one who fought the fight, but he also led, massively. And that's why Africa today recognizes his person. Again, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe started his professional journey as a journalist. He started publishing newspapers to address the unfair treatment given to our people by the colonial masters. He did not just did this for Nigeria. He, in his publication, he addressed the issue Africa is facing as at the time, which is colonial masters. He was also a man who believed that the Igbo man will change the world. That's the thing. On a very good day. Now, the great Zik of Africa started the fight, the fight for emancipation of Nigerians, Africans, with the media, journalism, and to finish it, we must adopt journalism to the core. Yes, when it comes to, the late Zik of Africa, we Nigerians will have mixed feelings. A lot of people will say here he did well. Some people will will want to criticize him as well. But let me tell you how, the rest of Africa feels about him. Now, Banda advocates reinvention of Zik's African leadership philosophy because he founded it. He's the one that brought it about. Now, former Malawian president, Dr. Joyce Hilda Banda, has praised the leadership qualities of the first president of Nigeria, the late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, and urged African leaders to embrace his philosophy for a united Africa and development. She also blamed the current African leaders for the poverty and lack of development ravaging the continent and called on the ordinary citizens to employ radical action to compel their leaders to be accountable, visionary, and work collaboratively in tackling the challenges of African countries. She made the call while delivering lecture at the 12th annual Zik lecture series on the theme Reclaiming Zik's World, Climate Justice and Africa's Sustainable Development, organized by the Faculty of Sciences, Social Sciences, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka. And then the former president condemned African leaders who forced themselves to the leadership positions of their countries through vote buying and falsification of election results, and stated that such practices were counterproductive to providing good governance and advancing democracy. She stated, for instance, that during the last Malawian general election in 2020, the incumbent president had altered the results of the election in his favor, but that the award-winning Malawian judiciary nullified the election. And when she said that, a lot of people applauded. But Dr. Banda asked African women to show interest on issues that concern women folk in their communities, saying that even before the colonial era, there were many African women who provided credible leadership, that women must also mount the saddle of leadership in Africa. In Nigeria, so in as much as, whatever lens you are looking at it from, or you are looking at him from, nothing, everything his, achievements cannot be taken away from him. The things he achieved, they are still there as legacies that we can look at and begin to ask ourselves questions on how we are operating today. Is that how he operated? What are we supposed to do? Even taking a listen to what, the former Malawian president was saying, is she not saying the truth? Have we not abandoned that leadership style that has to do with, we now abandoned it, that leadership style that has to do with unification of everybody together, and now resorting to divide and rule and all of that. Anyway, it is time for you to tell me what you think of all of this when it comes to, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. His contributions to the development of Africa, his contribution to, Nigeria, his contribution to Igbo man. 070-3445-9334 or 07045-592210. Let's hear from you now. What do you have to say about this? Hello. Yes, good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
My name is Mr. Christian. I'm calling from America.
Please put off your radio and then you go on, please.
Yeah. If I'm allowed to say, I would say that the man did well in one part and did not do well in the other part. Because he tried to emancipate our people from the hands of our oppressors. But one thing he did not do well is to sign this one Nigeria for us. Because that thing put us in the next accident.
Did you listen to what I said at all about what even the former Malawian president is talking about, the leadership of unification? Are you expecting him to play the kind of politics that would divide our people? No. Is that what you're expecting?
Yeah, I'm calling because now that this is the way this is going. Now I want to say my opinion, my understanding.
Okay.
As a person who is living in the country, he joined the people or he signed the amalgamation of the country. He has suffering. And I learned from story that someone like the one or something of that nature told him that time, warned him against this type of unification. So I'm coming. During his own time, he did well, as I said, but it depends on the people that he lived with. This time, bribery and corruption has taken over everything. That is why, if we want to follow his own footsteps, this time, they are going to inside the fire. Because these people of this time are not following the rule of law. know that they don't begin value human life. If we continue the way he did it, all of us are going to be exterminated.
So I'm coming. Don't you think that the whatever position you think that we are in now, that it is because we abandoned his ways, which is the media? How much I'm coming? How much of his legacy have we as a people maintained in the media? Can you answer that? That's the question. Now, like I need you to answer this one I asked now, because when we are talking about what he must have done, we need to look at structures, institutions, what was done. How much of his influence on the media did we as Igbo people maintain?
Yes, let me tell you, in the first time I have answered this question.
You didn't answer it. I asked about media now. I asked about media, and I don't want you to divert it to another thing. I want you to answer about media.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Concerning media,
yes.
When we talk, because the media is not when I was open newspaper place. But when
that's
talk,
media. That's media. When you open a newspaper place, when you open, a radio, TV, all of that. That's what I mean by media. When we talk media, we're not talking about social media. We're talking about the media itself, the structure, media. How much of his legacy did we maintain in Igbo land?
We are maintaining it.
Tell me now, how much of his influence?
Allow me to talk now.
Go on.
Wanted to follow it in that way. When we were doing agitation, is it not to create awareness?
Nnamdi Kanu did not follow it his way. No, that's not what I'm saying. This is not it. He did not follow it his way. The difference, look at it. If we talk about the truth in this, his style, I'm coming. His style is different from that of Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu has his own style. He has a different style.
It's not, because this agitation is in the constitution. That if you are not comfortable with the government you are in, then you accept it. So that then they ask you to know how to handle your issue.
We are talking about two individuals now. One is always down with unification of all Africans, and the other one is about separating some parts of Africans from Africans. Don't you think it's so?
Igbo people are not in Africa, so they are excluded.
That's what I'm saying now. That's what I'm saying. You breaking it off is you messed with his master plan. That's the thing, because that's not his plan. Was not just for Igbos. It was for Africans. Everybody. That's what I'm saying now. So you don't exclude some and keep the other. You have to work all of them together. That's the way he did his own. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Let's allow others to come in now. Thank you. Yes, it is what it is. It is Street Report on Ebona 103.5 FM. On this edition, we are talking about the personality of late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. All his structures, everything he did over time. How much did we maintain those things? Those are the questions. 070-3445-9334 or 070-4559-2210. Let's hear from you now. What do you think of this? Now, when it comes to late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, it is about unification, because he understands that divided we fall, but united we stand. So how are we maintaining that culture of unification of all Africans? I'm not just talking about just one tribe and all of that. That's the kind of leadership that the former president of Malawi is talking about. The style of leadership, that style of leadership that Nnamdi Azikiwe led, bringing everybody to the table and not excluding some people.